Hey everyone, welcome to the RC Groups podcast and live hangout on YouTube and on your local MP3 player. Jason, did you see what I did today?
The local MP3 player.
I put out 3 audio podcasts. And so they're in fact, let's talk about that real fast. Mike McDougall, longtime reviewer for RC Groups, awesome guy and hand burner. Although I won't reference that much more in the future because people tend not to like it when I keep referencing things that they do to themselves. If you go to RCGroups.com, just go to RCGroups.com, the homepage. McDougall said, Jim, I can't find the podcast. You should probably put those in some place on the site. And I thought, well, if Mike can't find it, then maybe everyone else can't find it. But I'm going to tell you where to find these audio podcasts. Check this out, Jason. I uploaded the first podcast. 229 downloads like in 1 minute after I hit refresh to make sure the MP3 was right.
Nice.
So that was pretty good feeling. If you scroll down, well, shoot, I guess I could share my screen with you. So I'll do that. Let's make sure everything's, no, that's not copacetic. What's the problem here?
What's happening?
Oh, it's showing everything. Let me expand. All right, that's good. Share. All right, Jason, if you see any anomalies, let me know. Anomalies. So go to the homepage and then scroll down, scrolling. And it's right here in it's not in the special events section. That's only for events that are special. But in the very first section, you'll see the official RC Groups podcast. Now, these are only audio podcasts. So what I've got uploaded today is the Horizon RC Fest audio podcast, the 2018 Joe Nolan review, and the podcast 70 Lane from the Crash Cast, where we have an in-depth talk with Lane. And so if you're ever wanting to know where to get this, you can find them there. Also, you can go to iTunes and just type in RC Groups and you'll find all our podcasts. That's why, Jason, when 226 people downloaded it in 1 minute, it was all the people that were starting to download it from their iTunes account.
There you go. Yep.
That's where
subscribe. Popped it through. That's awesome.
I'll hit the stop button because we have big news, man. I got to say, I've been ramming, and let me say this the proper way. I've been ripping and a tearing all week. What I've been doing is every night I'm like, what should I do tomorrow? What would be awesome to do for the site? And then I make a list, and then I've been doing it, but it literally has been taking me all day and then another day. And then you add on to that, and here we are. And I missed something. I'm not on Facebook, but I can reference this podcast. Jason Cole went to an event last weekend. I haven't even in our personal interaction asked him about it. And then when I log on to Facebook today, I see that you won. Did you win everything?
I won a lot. Yeah. So it was basically 3 different contests all in the same.
First, let's talk about the name of the contest.
Let me pull it up here.
The MVSA.
There it is. Yeah, it's based on it was named after, what's wrong with my mouse? There we go. It was named after one of the guys of the club that had passed away, I believe, and it's kind of a memorial event to him, but it's the Adam, I don't even know if I could say that properly. Quennoz, it's Quennoz.
I've read it, but I've never said it.
Probably butchering that. Memorial Gateway Soaring Open. This event's been going on for a very long time. This is the 3rd annual with that name, but they've had this thermal duration soaring contest. It's only like 5.5 hours from here. It's in a little bit kind of northwest of St. Louis, Missouri, as I like to say. So I went because local pilot here, Scott Shaw, lent me 2 of his old backup kind of Supra thermal duration sailplanes. I put them together. We were out practicing, and he said, you got to come to this contest. And I said, all right, let's do it. So luckily they had a DLG, kind of just a fun club DLG contest on Friday before the big thermal duration stuff started. So, I mean, there was only like 6 guys, I think, for the hand launch. And I was out launching everybody by a mile. I mean, it was, they're kind of older, great bunch of guys. Really nice to meet them and hang out. But I was just launching way higher, so I won the hand launch stuff.
This is like when I go to the JCC up the street. Everyone's 80, So when I lift weights, I'm like the power lifter of the whole place. So that's what was going on. Hey, let's do this. Why don't you pull up? Didn't you just put an article up about this so we can illustrate with photos while you vocalize the reality?
Certainly. So the hand launch thing was just for fun. It wasn't like official. There was no trophy for it. It was just a bragging rights kind of thing for fun. All right, let me pop that.
And while he's working on that, I want to say hello to our live viewers. I want to say hey to Josh, Steve, Daniel, Nikolai, Cy Jones,
What up? What up?
Tom Flight Craze Daniels, and all the other thousands of people that are joining us right now. Holy smoke. It's like Bonnaroo's on the live chat.
There you go. So this contest, and it's kind of for me, it's sort of sad to see and hear about, because this is my first time going to a thermal duration contest. And I can, basically they're dwindling in numbers for each contest, where this used to draw in 30 plus people. We had 10 guys show up Saturday to fly. So there wasn't a huge turnout. Now at the Nats, there's going to be a whole bunch of people, at the Nationals in Muncie next month. It's a different kind of ball game, but where contests used to be really big and drawing a bunch of people, they're kind of dwindling. And it's sad to see you just getting into it and falling in love with it and wanting to be able to do more of it. I want it to stick around and not die and go away. Although you can see it's a lot of work. Here's let me see if I can blow this up any. They had 6 winches set up, and it's a lot of work. You got to haul out a giant, lead acid battery for each winch. You got to have the winch itself, the turnaround, all the line, extension cords and cables, and all this stuff. Like, to have this as a club, it's a trailer full of stuff, and you got to have guys, hauling it out there, setting it up, making sure it's running, and shagging lines. Every time there'd be a launch, the parachute would land, downwind a good ways. You have to have somebody get it, bring it back. It is a lot of work, so I get that. So what they're trying to do now is mix thermal duration with electric, like F5J kind of plane. So they'll have special electronics in the airplanes. Even though they have a motor, they have to it's electronically stops the motor at a certain altitude or a certain time, or however the event is set up, so you can compete with them against the pure sailplanes flying off of winches. So hopefully that kind of revitalizes some of these events, allowing mixed flying like that. But I loved it, man. It was my first time. I only had a few winch launches prior here locally. And winch launching is so fun, man. If you've never done this, it's an electric like starter motor with a giant spoolish, line on it. And there's a turnaround, and it's like kind of like a high start, if you're familiar with that, but you have a foot pedal and you can control the speed. Basically on these planes, you just mash the pedal and hold it down the whole time. But you got your plane held up just like you would with a high start almost. There's a couple different ways to hold it, but you stick it on the line. You can see it up here at the top here. So he's got one. He's getting ready to launch it right there. You mash the pedal, let the tension build up, and then you kind of throw it up, and it just skyrockets up into the air. And then once you get to about 50-degree angle or so, you point the nose down, mash the pedal if you have taken your foot off of it, and dive down, and then just yank on the elevator, and you get this amazing just zoom. We call it a zoom, but you get so much 100 feet or so off of where the top of the line would have been off this zoom at the top of the launch. So you get 400, 500, 600 feet on a good launch. And with these big airplanes that cover a lot of ground, you've got, a fair amount of working time. You should get 5 minutes pretty easily in dead air off of a good launch. And so that gives you time to hunt around, search, find thermals. Now, the weather doesn't always cooperate. I did have one round where it was like 2 minutes and 55 seconds. I just had nothing but sink, just bad air. I had a really nasty launch because the wind was light and variable.
I'm going to share this video of a launch in action so they can see it.
So I had a downwind launch, and it just did not want to go up. Like, it was just struggling, and I had a really poor launch, really bad air, and then less than a 3-minute flight. So that can happen.
But, so is that the kind of system they use? The battery?
This is the winch. That one's on a nice little container.
A dolly
truck. Yeah, so that's kind of nice. Yeah, so you mash it, the motor spools up, and it just draws a line in. Got a brake on it. You can see the brake smash down when he lets off, when the line goes down. But it's a great way. I hope it doesn't die off. Here you go. Boom.
Shring.
And so there's what I'm finding out is we were doing thermal duration, and the clock doesn't start until you come off of the line. So you have to fly for 10 minutes to get a max, get the max score, do the best in your group up to 10 minutes. You can fly over, but every second you kind of over or under. If somebody hits it, is points off. It's all based on, you're flying man on man, so it's all based on the other guys flying in your group and how well they did. But you're trying to fly for exactly 10 minutes, do a spot landing on a landing tape, and the landing tape has different point values associated based on how close it is from the center, and less points all the way out. So if you land right on the center, you get 100 points, and you get less points as you land farther away. But in F3J, which is what I'm going to be doing, one of the contests I'm doing next month, F3J, the clock starts immediately. So the more time you're on the line, it basically detracts from your overall score. So these guys are using this special mono line, and they're loading up until the winch basically stalls out, and they're letting the plane go, and it's like a rocket. It goes up, and they're on it for 2 seconds, and they go up, do the quick zoom, like instantly, and it puts a lot of load and stress on the wings. They got to be really strong, but you can blow a plane apart if you're not careful. So it's going to be really fun, and that's probably going to be a little intimidating when I go. I was real nervous at this one, just having never done it, but it ended up going really well. Here's Scott. So this is the guy that got me into it. We've got our first hand launch competition this weekend that I'm taking him to.
I bet he was very excited. I can hear myself.
He was very excited, and it was kind of, I don't know. So I ended up winning Saturday. They basically do it as 2 different contests to do something with the League of Silent Flight points and things, how that works. So they basically split them up into 2 different contests, one for Saturday, one for Sunday. So Saturday I ended up winning first place, and then Scott came in second. And Sunday I ended up we had some really crappy air. So that's when I had like 2 minute and 55-second flight, just got buried. I had a 0 landing on one flight, or I couldn't make it back. I ended up coming in 3rd place, but overall, they had an overall champion for both days. And I ended up beating Scott, because Scott came in 2nd place again on Sunday, ended up beating him for the overall champion by only 17 points.
Wow. And
that's nothing. That's basically a landing. Most of my landings were like 86 or 90 or 92, and I had like 160 or 170. So 17 points. If I'd have just made one bad landing, like in a 40 or 50 range, still in the tape, pretty close, he would have took it for the weekend. So he was kind of like, you're really not supposed to beat somebody with their own airplane at a contest.
Right. That got you into the contest. Right.
Yeah. So, but it was wonderful. So I actually have here, let me do this. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. So here's they had a guy 3D print the trophies.
That's pretty awesome.
So here's one of the trophies, and it says Mississippi Valley Soaring Association, Adam Quinez Memorial Gateway Soaring Open, first place, Master 6/9/2018. It's got the St. Louis Arch in it, which I got to see for the first time in real life driving by. Pretty cool, and a nice little sailplane. And they did it color coded. So this was gold. Yeah. Scott's was silver. And then for Sundays.
Hey, did he print the arch and then leave the slots in, then print the plan?
Yeah, these are all separate pieces. Okay. Yeah, it's not even glued on. I can pull it off right now. I got to glue it. But I got a bronze one for 3rd place. Really cool. And then the bigger one that everybody was wanting was the overall champion one. It's all gold. And these were all printed on a Prusa Mark II, I think 2 or 2.5. I don't remember which one.
Well, I bet the trophy people aren't going to be happy about this.
Yeah, right. You just make your own. And so I got 3 trophies at my first contest. It's pretty crazy.
Did he tell you to give his airplanes back?
No, I got to have them for the Nats, man. I might end up just buying them at some point when I get some extra money, but he said he tried to sell them a few years back and just was getting low offers, and they're just kind of old, and they've been through some through some stuff and they're not in pristine shape, which is great for, you can just fly it like you stole it. But so my best time, the last round of the entire competition on Sunday, I had my favorite moment. I was flying against Scott and Wayne and a couple other guys, but Wayne and Scott Wayne was actually won first place on Sunday. So he was doing awesome. Scott was in second place. I was right there in the running, and we were going for the overall champion. We were going for points in that round. So I get up, we find some good lift, and I'm cruising along, and then I get out of it, and I'm coming down and coming down and coming down. We're only like 4 or 5 minutes into the flight, and I'm supposed to fly for 10 minutes. Oh. I look over, and Wayne is skied out. He caught one somewhere else and was like, he was going to make his 10 minutes easy. Scott was a good couple hundred feet above me and in good air, and I'm like, oh, man. I'm treetop level, like a long ways away. You can still see it because it's a big airplane, but I'm a long ways away. So I'm like, I'm going to have to either come back and I may not even make it back, or I'm going to have to hit something good here. And I just like, I don't know how I made the decision, but somehow I was just like, I'm feeling, let's go left. So I went down the tree line to the left and my tail rose on the airplane. I was like, ooh, here we go. And I started turning in it, and it just was a boomer of a thermal. I had to turn really tight because I was so low to stay in it. And I ended up just working it and just, skied it out way up high. And then it was just like, okay, now we can chill for the rest of the time because you weren't going to not make 5 minutes, from that altitude. It was going to be so easy. So I came in, made like a 90 on my landing at like 10:01. So we made the time, and I ended up getting we all ended up getting 1,000 something points for that round because we were all so close, but we all made it. But I didn't get buried by them, which was the good thing. So it was like an awesome save, low plane, almost on the ground. And then you take it right up to altitude, and you just feel so good about yourself. You're like, yeah, that was so fun. You just want to keep doing it. So I couldn't be happier with how I did, but more than that, it's just really fun hanging out with the guys, flying sailplanes, the challenge of finding thermals and completing the tasks and making the spot landings. It's just very challenging, but fun and interesting. So I think I'm in it for life, even if I have to give these planes back off to come up with something. But I want to keep doing this and just see how, even if I do terrible each contest, it's just a ton of fun still.
That's awesome. You know what we should do is maybe talk to Kennedy Composites and Bob at Soaring USA.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't it be cool if you won a gold trophy, actually won a plane? That way you could compete,
There you go. Yeah. There's a lot of great airplanes. I'm flying an older airplane, but it's still really good. Still performs well. And there's better airplanes, as technology changes out there now.
Was this event promoted on RCGroups?
It was, yeah. They put it in the sailplane event section and the multitask F3X kind of.
If you're not a sailplane pilot, man, the sailplane section is unlike any other section on RCGroups in that their contests, and have been for years, predates me being on here. So that's how long they've been doing this. They're like, we have a contest, please sticky it. I never say no. And then the amazing part is they always say, please unsticky it when it's over.
They keep up with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love it. It's a resource. The guys are, super happy to be using RCGroups and promoting their events and being able to discuss it and highlight them. So I try to support them as much as I can, when I know they're there and write articles on them and pump these things out. So I know on the East Coast, it's, challenge sailplanes and soaring seems to be more prominent on the West Coast where you got California, Arizona, all these great places. So anything we can do to promote it on the East Coast, still a good scene here.
Well, speaking about the Kentucky coast, are you going to the Bruce this year? It's about 100 degrees, so we must be getting close.
Yeah, it's in September. I've already signed up and pre-registered for the Bruce. That's one of my favorite hand launch contests.
Wait, is it on top of fall or anything?
It is early. It's like the 6th or 9th or something. It's early September.
So this year, Jason, and we'll talk about events in a little bit, but Jason's headed out to the fall. I guess we should get approval on that, Jace. Haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, we should do that.
and then I'm going to my own event, which does not need approval because I can drive there. This last year I stayed at my own house and just drove in every day, which was pretty nice, I got to say.
Oh wow!
But so I've got NASPRO going on, and we're gonna try to. Usually I wing NASPRO pretty heavily, and this year I'm going to try to at least make sure that certain things people are there for and hot to participate in, and we get that going. So that's coming up.
I hate to miss it. I usually always go. I've only missed it a couple times since it's been happening, but
right.
I'll be at Fallen and All.
Fallen the Fall. I got to get to work on that. I put up a post. I'm going to share a thread. I thought it was a possibly dangerous post. I asked Jason. He was so enthusiastic. No, he was not enthusiastic. But he wasn't unenthusiastic. He said, "Yeah, give it a shot." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds dangerous." Okay, so this is the thread. And as you read, I'll talk. I have been thinking about this for at least a year now. And every time I go, especially mow the lawn, I think about it. The other day, Jason, I was in the backyard on the phone with Mike Hines. And I was actually talking to Mike about possibly doing something to the house in the backyard. It occurred to me, Mike does that. And so then we started talking about Hobby Lobby and all the changes we've saw working there, and the fact that we're still in the hobby at this point in the game, and all the amazing things that we saw. And so really what this is saying is RCGroups, and there's a fun part here. I'm not just talking about RCGroups. The whole point was we are the original social media starting as early as about 1997, 98.
Right. Yeah.
We started in 96, but the forum, and I just started writing. I've been thinking about it. And the way I write is I just start writing and I see where it takes me. And usually it ends up in a good place. So in this article, I go over the history of the site, how it came to be, what year it came to be. I reminisce about Jim Burke telling me trying to sell ads for the site at Toledo, and people there weren't even on the internet and thought having an ad on the internet for an RC product they would actually laugh at him at the concept. And so
it's never gonna work.
Yeah, that newfangled internet. That's actually what I say here. And now we're at 39 million posts. By the way, we're at 39.4, and so we need to remember to keep an eye on that. So when we hit 40 million posts, we should probably have a giant thread on it. About all that. Maybe pick our top 10 favorite posts, and then let the users tell us their favorite post or thread. And so 10 million attachments, over 10 million, almost at 10 million. So we're almost at 40 million posts and almost at 10 million attachments. And so my point is, and this is the part where we weren't sure how people would take it, is that Facebook is awesome in almost like a CB radio type of way. You can get on the CB and say break 19, blah, blah, blah. But after you stop talking, your message has floated into the airwaves and is only useful to aliens who are in front of they're no good to anyone after that. And so my point is RCGroups is a place where you can post and then people can benefit from your post for years and years and years. And I was talking about being in the field looking for a CG and being able to log on to RCGroups, look up the airplane and the term CG and find it off my phone while I've got the airplane in my hand and can't fly it because I don't know what the CG is. Right.
Yep.
And then my other point is, and promise we're getting to the fun part here in a second, because there's some hilarious photos about to be shown. Where are we at? Yeah. And so we are social media. We predate all social media, or at least most social media. And that is my point. And then I talk about how many people are on from different countries. We also there's a link here you should check out. It's for your finger on the pulse, take a look at our forum spy. Let's do it right now. We can do that. So this is actually a thing that shows threads as they're being created on the site. It's like that ticker machine where they show you people buying stocks. It just keeps going and going and going. And you can see, and in the old days, Jason, when I first started moderating, when I was the only moderator on the whole site, I would watch this to see what was going on the site.
Oh, wow.
Can I get out of this page?
Crazy.
Okay.
I don't even know you couldn't even keep up with it.
So when I made this post, the question was, how are people going to react to this? And I'm very happy to say that everyone's been very positive. And so like this guy says, here's a review I did from 1997. And then these people are talking about E-Zone, the original version of RCGroups. And so then here's the video. If you haven't seen it, maybe we'll.
Oh yeah.
I'll make it big. This is Jim Burke, and the wing just blew off his airplane.
I remember that.
In the background, people are going, "Oh no!" Very dramatic people at this field. There's the wing. Jim saying, "Look out! Heads up! Heads up!" And so he said because of flight on real flight, he had done a one wing landing hundreds of times. So he's cranked this airplane over into a semi knife edge. It takes him a while. Maybe we'll fast forward a little bit. No, he's coming in right now.
He's coming in right now.
So he tries it once to get it level. He's like, yeah, I can do that. And then he lands it. And then the whole crowd cheers. And some guy goes, "Oh my God, Jim." You know, the same guy who's and so there's Jim. And it also credits the builder. I don't know how good that is. Do you want to credit the builder whose wing blew off the R.I.P. Keith? I believe Keith's passed away now. So anyway, that's pretty awesome. Oh, how the heck? There we go. And so that popped up, and then even more interesting things popped up. There's another I joined in 1996. Great stuff. See if I can find this thread. There are some pictures of the original RCGroups crew. There's like 10 of them. And who posted it? Oh, here it is. This is kind of what I was looking for.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so this is E-Flight mailing list. So this predates E-Zone and RCGroups. Hey, Lane is here. What's happening, Lane?
What up?
Lane's got some kick-ass stuff to talk about. So this is the original, not all of them, but I know that they started the E-Flight mailing list originally, and then thousands of people signed up, which prompted Jim to get serious. The great part is that's Jim Burke. I can't make the image. That's Jim Burke. Look, he's got hair. Yeah.
Wow.
This must be his booth. And then Jason, there's something else awesome about to show up. That must be the author.
I've never seen this before.
Look at the Hobby Lobby tent.
Hey, how about that?
I would love to know who's in that tent right now.
Wow. I bet you Jim Martin's there.
You think? Maybe. Jim did do the shows, right?
The shows, that's right.
The minute I joined is the minute he stopped. He's like, "Jim's here. I'm out." He never went to another show after that.
Yeah.
And then here's some of the airplanes. So I was like, that is so cool.
Wow. That's some history right there.
Yeah. And let's see. Aaron the Red Baron had something to say that I thought was pretty good. Let's see. It says RCG maybe should be called RCOG. And I'm not here to, Facebook has its place. Don't get me wrong, just not in the hobby. Facebook, Smacebook, try digging for any useful information. It's useless as a resource because the questions just get recycled in circles. And then he thanks us for creating the biggest RC info base.
Awesome.
So that is awesome. And then while we're here, let's go ahead and go over some topics. There's Jason's article. You can find it right there. Also, there's a contest. We don't really have to go in here. My email list used to be generated by you joining the site, but then because of legalities and situations, that is not how it works anymore. And so I wanted to rejuvenate people and make sure that they're on the mailing list of our mass email that I create. I do it from once to 4 times a month, depending on what's going on. We've got one going out Friday, by the way, Jason.
Cool.
Servo City will be the sponsor of that one. Sometimes people email in and say, "Hey, I want to run a banner in a mass email." And so Servo City said, "Can we get one going Friday?" I believe they must have a sale or a new product. It must be a sale going on. So anyway, what you do is click on this link and it'll give you a link on how to join the mass email. And then when you do, just say, "I joined," and enter your shirt size. And I didn't say this in the thread because I don't know, but I am paying the shipping on all this stuff. This was my idea. I just wanted to do something cool for the site that would help rejuvenate. We have 114,000 people on the mass email list, so it's one of the bigger mass email lists out there. But I want to make it bigger, and I want to make sure you're aware of it. So that's why I did it. So you can click in there. There's a new truck from Horizon. Lots of good talk in there. It's a great price. It's like sub $200. Jason, maybe we'll talk about this with you in a minute.
Certainly.
I saw that come up and I didn't do a story. Then here's your Nats, Jason's story. And then this is something we were talking about events. These are some folks that we love and are near and dear to our heart. If you don't know them,
dude.
Yeah. The lovely Miss Judy. And they have a place called the Pecan Patch. And
that's Mark, though. That's not Judy. Everybody knows.
He's not dude. His name is Mark Murdoch. He's not even the originator of the dude. Doesn't he say dude to mimic another guy who says dude?
Yeah, I don't know the story.
But I had to use the photo because it's so awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I thought you photoshopped the dude on there.
I did. I put dude on there. I took his photo and I tried to get rid of his text so I could put my text. That didn't work, but I just put the dude in.
That's a cool shot.
And Jason is headed down there and he's going to hang out. So we will have photos and Jason will be down there. I'm sure.
You know what I just saw that got me excited? The second one down there on that list under FPV.
LMR. Oh yeah. He said this
mass launch.
It's not just FPV this year.
I've got an easy glider floor with an electric motor on it. So I'm going to be in on that.
I could have sworn I had like 8 photos in here. That's what I keep looking for. So anyway, that's happening. And in a second, we're going to get Lane to tell us about some cool stuff. Pretty sure we talked about did we talk about this already, Jason?
Lane's Planes?
No, the Azalea City.
No, I don't know anything about it.
Oh. Lanesplanes.com.
Lanesplanes.com.
I was having some headset trouble. Sorry about that.
You're sounding good. You're 10 by 10.
All right.
So this is the Azalea City Model Aeronautics Spring Warbird Fly-In, June the 2nd. Wait, what day is it? It's going to be here in a minute. It's in Mobile, Alabama.
June the 2nd. That was is it July 2nd?
June the 2nd.
Because June the 2nd's already happened.
Hey y'all. Oh no, this is event coverage. Okay, that makes more sense. I thought, why isn't there any links on here? So this is event coverage from that event. And I want to say to everybody listening, all 8,000 of you on the live chat, if you go to an event or if you take pictures, or if you're like, I have some stuff I want to share, or I have a show I want to share, or there's a big RC sale in our area, whatever it is, send Jason or I an email or a PM. We will write a feature article. If you have 98 photos of an event, contact me. I will make it a special event. That's how we highlight the hobby and make the hobby bigger than it is today. So we're all about it. I'm going to jump out of here. I'm going to stop. And Lane, welcome, Lane.
Thanks.
Lane never seems to, at this point in the game, he has not failed us with some interesting content. Lane, you're on the new job site. Obviously, is this your office?
No. I'm on nights right now. So I go in tonight. Did you see the video I put up at about 3 o'clock this morning?
No. I saw your heli photos, and so tell everyone, if you can, unless this is top secret, about your new job and what you're flying.
Okay. I'm working for Avera McKinnon Hospital. Currently, I'm in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I'm flying a EC-145 helicopter, single pilot IFR. So I'm doing my training right now. Every time you start a new place, you have to do, their training. And so I'm going through their training program, which includes about 100 hours of online training.
Wow.
Yeah, not a lot of fun. So
it sounds
when you sent the link
of it already, right?
Yeah, well, I know most of it. The problem is that I have to sit and click through and listen to videos and the whole mess. It's just so anyway, so I've been doing the online training during the daytime, and then I'll catch just a little bit of sleep, go in around 6:30, pre-flight the aircraft, sit and talk with the chief pilot for a little while, doing some ground instruction stuff, just, talking about the general operating manual and things like that.
Is this what you're flying like?
Yes, actually, if you type in November 911 Mike Kilo.
So not November, just 911 MK.
No, November 911. Don't type November, just N.
N9.
It's the N number. 911 Mike Kilo.
MK, just MK.
Just MK, sorry. It's aviation stuff, man. Jason, help him out.
just MK, just no aloe, just
just MK. There you go. There it is.
There it is. Nice.
So that is what I'm flying right now. Not that one. That's the one they used to have here. Not that one. That's a 222. There it is.
That one?
That's it.
All right.
And that is the aircraft I'm flying tonight again. They also have a brand new one, which is, and I can't remember, it's 605 Alpha Victor, I think. Let me look. November 605 Alpha Victor. And registry, let's see, images. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But anyway, if you type in November 605 Alpha Victor, you will see, yeah, that's what I'm doing right there. Nice.
So this auto gyro, pretty easy, kind of like flying a quad.
Yeah, it's just like that. Doesn't take a lot of coordination or anything. No training, you know, any monkey can do it. Tell
us about this. We're all RC pilots, and some of us have flown helis, and some of us, Jason and I, have flown helis back before. I'm going to stop here. We flew helis back before there were gyros, and that was almost impossible. So what's it like flying a full-scale heli? Are you using both feet and all your hands?
Yeah, you're using both feet and both hands all the time. So essentially, of course, the pedals control your heading. So when you're at a hover, for example, your pedals keep your nose where it belongs. So it's your left stick on rudder, basically. Your right hand is your directional control, your cyclic. So it'd be your right stick on the transmitter. So forward, backward, left, right. And then your left hand, you have the collective, which you pull up, you increase the pitch in all four blades at the same time. You push down, you decrease the pitch in all four blades. So kind of going into a little bit, not too in depth, but if you make a collective input on a helicopter, it wants to go up. That's fine. So you pull up on the collective, it increases the pitch, which also increases the torque, which then requires a pedal input, left pedal generally, depending on the direction of the rotor system. So you pull up on the collective, blades increase, more torque, push in with your left foot a little bit to counter that torque to maintain your heading. Well, then the problem is when you've increased the tail rotor thrust, which pushes the aircraft to the side, it's called translating tendency, because you know you've got a propeller there pushing sideways. Now you also have to make a cyclic input to compensate for that. So to stay in one place and climb straight up, you have to make 3 inputs, all coordinated the right amount at the right time. And you have to do this while talking to your crew, making sure you don't hit anything, listening to 3 radios and a satellite phone and a couple of other things, and talking on the radio to an air traffic controller or whoever it might be. So needless to say, you get extremely busy, extremely quick, and then to do this in the clouds, talking, right. So now you're IMC, so you're in the clouds, you can't see outside. You're doing all of this by instruments instead of actually looking outside. You have no visual reference outside, and it gets pretty interesting at times. And then you got some guy in the back or whatever that maybe bleeding, or having a heart attack, or
Wow, that's not stressful at all.
No, it's actually kind of a great job.
How many guys like you are there in the country, do you think?
Oh gosh, quite a bit.
There's only one lane.
Well, thank God for that saves the country, I think. Just in Nebraska alone, if I remember right, there were 9 medical helicopters just in the state of Nebraska. And obviously the population in Nebraska is relatively low compared to some of the other states. But some of the larger companies have, 1,000 aircraft. And that includes fixed wing, airplanes, King Airs, Pilatus, things like that. And then helicopters. Everything from basically the smallest thing that's used would be a Bell 206, which normal. That's when you think helicopter. Generally, people think Bell 206 is kind of what pops into their head. A-Stars, which is made by Airbus, and those are single engine VFR programs only. And then you get up to the EC-135, which is made by Airbus, which is what I was flying in Nebraska. And that's a twin engine. So you're flying, some of those programs then are IFR programs. So you'll fly in the clouds with them. And then the EC-145s, also known as the BK-117, just depending on terminology.
Burger King.
Yes, yes. So the BK-117 is the same as an EC-145. And then you get up to things like Sikorsky. They'll have Sikorsky S-76s, which are big, you know, basically a Black Hawk with retracts, kind of.
Nice.
And so it just depends on where you're at and what the mission is and what needs to be done. For example, around here, the EC-145 is an excellent platform at this hospital because it has a very, very high load capacity. And on some flights, we're carrying a neonatal team, which consists of 3 individuals, plus then usually we have a 4th flight person up in front, not to mention the baby and a thing called an isolate, which is basically an incubator, and it weighs about 300 pounds.
Wow.
So this aircraft is very, very well suited for the mission here at this hospital. Balloon pumps for heart patients, things like that. And all these things are heavy and take up a lot of space. The 145 in passenger configuration can carry 11 people. So that just kind of gives you an idea of the size of the aircraft.
So let me ask you this. I've got to think that after all these years of flying all these helis, that a lot of this is muscle memory, but how much learning goes into it? Like when you're in the air flying this thing, is it substantially different than the last helis that you were flying?
No, basically every helicopter you get into, the controls obviously are basically the same. Kind of a good story for you. I had been flying the EC-135 there in Nebraska for about 4 years, maybe 3.5 years, and I hadn't touched another helicopter. A friend of mine has a Bell 206, which is a 2-bladed underslung rotor system. It's not as responsive, et cetera, et cetera. And he came over with that, and I jumped in, and he says, all right, you got it. And we started it up, and I lifted up. It's the same one I flew at CEF, that same exact type of aircraft.
Nice.
Anyway, so I jumped in, and I was about 3 feet off the ground, and I looked like I was in flight school again. I was hanging on for dear life because, and a 206 is a simple aircraft to fly, but the control response is drastically slower than an EC-135.
So you're in front of it. Your expo was really cranked.
Exactly. Yes. So I would put an input forward, you know, to compensate for the aircraft trying to move, whether it was wind or anything else. And it would take, I think it takes 0.9 seconds for that input to take place on a Bell 206.
Wow.
Whereas an EC-135, it's like 0.08 seconds or something. It's ridiculously fast because it's a rigid rotor system. So any input you make is instant. So I was just way ahead of the helicopter, and it took about a minute, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. And you get the feel of it, and then you're fine. But it just depends on the type of aircraft. They're all the same, but they're all just a little bit different characteristics. Some of them have limitations. For example, a Bell 206, you don't want a left quartering tailwind ever. You can lose tail rotor effectiveness. With the EC-145, 50 knot winds, you can start the thing up and go fly. It's not a problem.
Jeez.
So it just depends on the limitation of the aircraft and what it's made for. Then you get into things like the Chinook. The Chinook requires a type rating. That's the great big
carry stuff around.
Right, with the twin rotor systems. That requires a type rating. I have never flown a Chinook, but they generally fly the same as any other helicopter. The only type rating I have currently is the Black Hawk. It's 22,000-pound aircraft. So kind of neat. This one, the max gross weight is 3,585 kilograms, which in pounds is, let me do the math, 3,585 times 2.2, 7,880. So the max gross on this is 7,880.
Gotcha.
So it's fairly hefty helicopter.
I don't know if you know this, but I play Grand Theft Auto in the evenings, and I fly helis on that like every night. I have like a whole hangar of them, so I
think you got this.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, it's an intense job, and you never know what's going to happen. Every day is a new adventure. Some days you're landing in somebody's front yard. Other days you're out in the field picking up a farmer. The next day you're going from a hospital to a hospital. Next day you're on an interstate for a car accident. And this program is flying around 900 flights a year with one helicopter, which comes out to an average of about 2 to 3 a day.
So that keeps you busy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
and
on my trip up to the Horizon RC Fest there was a major wreck on the interstate on the other direction. So we were passing it, but they had one landed right on the road on the interstate to pick up the passengers and life flight them out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really cool job. Most places, and there's a couple of exceptions, you have to have about 1,500 hours of helicopter time just to even get hired. And that's if they'll hire you still. I think 1,200 is the absolute minimum, if I remember right. There might be some waivers, but most places will not go below 1,200 hours of flight time. For a program such as this, where you're flying IFR, you have to have about 100 hours of actual IFR time, 2,000 hours of flight time, twin engine, turbine time, all this stuff. So the qualifications get higher and higher depending on what the aircraft is and what their mission is. And then sometimes it's just, they want more and more and more experienced guys because of whatever their reasoning might be.
Now, so, I'm sure that they check out your mental state. How did you get past that?
Carefully.
I tried to make sure I didn't say that in a terrible way. Well, you are a wild
I wrote a lot of big checks. I wrote a lot of big checks.
You got to be somewhat intense to just do the job, right? I mean, I'm sure I have met a lot of heli pilots who are so subdued they barely have a personality. You're not normal.
Yeah, you actually don't find a lot of helicopter pilots that are what you'd consider to be normal.
Right. Okay.
It takes a certain personality to do the job. Your average passive, would rather sit around in the house and watch TV or read a book by themselves person is not a helicopter pilot. It just doesn't work that way. They usually open a knitting store.
Play GTA.
Right. So you kind of have to be a little bit outgoing and kind of maybe a little bit of a thrill seeker, or, maybe not quite mentally stable.
Hey, honey, cancel the knitting store idea.
Yeah. So it's a type A personality job where, and it's always, you try not to make it be a competition with the other pilots or with anybody else, but you're always, excuse the expression, but seeing whose is longer.
So do you hang out with other pilots like yourself? Do you guys have conventions and get together and then it's kind of like astronauts, hanging out at the cafe?
Yeah. The last thing you want is a bar full of pilots. I tell you what, that's a bar owner's worst nightmare. They'll make a lot of money, but after they fix everything the next night, it gets pretty wild. Do you know how do you know who the helicopter pilot is at the bar?
No. How do you know?
Oh, don't worry. They'll tell you. So yeah, that's how that goes. That's right. Now on my Facebook page, just my personal Facebook page, I posted a picture last night, taken off in the middle of the night, and had a video of that. And so kind of cool. And that was about, I want to say midnight or 1 o'clock this morning.
Let me pull that up real fast because I'm actually going to access in just a second some photos from an event.
Well, while you're doing that,
yeah,
let me pull up something here. Let's see if I can do this screen sharing thing again. I'm going to try. And let's
say hello to your wife for us.
There, she's not here right now. Okay. Let me know when you can see that.
Yeah, it's hot.
See it.
Yeah, that is one of the Lanes Plains Normans. My friend Matt Vodrin from down in Texas, he bought that when we were down there and painted it like a P-40.
Oh, yeah, you were talking about that.
So he really did a good job with that one, and I just wanted to show it off for him. You can see his stuff at rumbuilder.com.
Yeah. And I'm going to share my video here of my page.
I can figure out how to get rid of the sharing.
Check. Are you seeing me, Jason?
Si, senor.
All right. Here is Lane's airplane. Heli.
Helicopters are airplanes, but airplanes are not helicopters.
Let me critique this. Pretty smooth. Go in the right direction. Up, forward. You got your tail light on.
That's Pyro flip.
Yeah, we were doing some 3D earlier.
I gotta tell you, 3D. I don't want to be biased here, but 3D helicopter flying makes me nervous as a cat.
Yeah, it's something can go wrong really, really fast.
Well, I'm going to share something that I did that Jason and I, once again, have not talked about. I can't see my.
I know, I missed it.
Okay, so what you're looking at there is a club in Nashville, Tennessee, and right in the middle is Chris Henson and the lead singer of a band called Interstellar Echoes. Why is this RC related, you ask? Well, Chris, and it gets even more deep, Chris is the owner of Extreme Flight RC. Chris and I played in the Seftones, and we played in the Nauman Brothers, and I found out, much to this guy's surprise, that they played in the same band when they were 20, a thrash metal band called Distemper. So when this guy took the stage, I screamed, "Distemper!" And he looked at me like, what the hell? Like, how does this guy know Distemper? And then the guitar, or this is the drummer, he said, "Hey, Jim, I joined RCGroups in the early days, and I wanted to come up and introduce myself because I wanted to meet you." And I was like, that's crazy. And then we have many RC luminaries here. Cal 50 was there. Jace, the Ace Ducia, is right here. And what else do we have? Russell, Jason. Russell was there.
Russell was there.
Russell did not let me down. We went the night before. I'm going to show some more pictures in a second. I can't tell what Russell did, but it was unbelievable and resulted in something that I didn't think would happen in front of a whole crowd of people, but it did. And then Russell laughed hysterically and said, "I can't believe I talked someone into doing that." And then we have John Ducia right here. And there's Casey. And I got to say, some of these people were new.
Philip next to you? That's Philip, local
yeah,
part of the multi-order club. Good guy.
Right. And so we had, and a guitar player friend of mine was there. And so let's click through. I have a great picture.
I hated I was out of town and missed all that.
Well, you're lucky. Wait a minute. That's not what I was shooting for. That's my wife and my daughter. Here we are. My daughter, by the way, just went to a Harry Styles concert.
Oh no.
And she came out ready to go, and she looked like a 90s girl from a video. And I was like, how did this happen to me, that my daughter looks like a rock and roll chick? So there the band is on stage. I've got a really killer photo of Chris. And they
play it, Chris.
I wonder if let me try something. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
So Chris was killing it. I kept saying, how much more could they sound like Pink Floyd? And the answer is none more. So here's Chris and I right after the show. Let's see if I can find that. Man.
There was a picture of Chris with Willie Nelson right there. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Yep. So here's the deal. Let me stop. I called Chris yesterday. I was driving out and I was thinking, I wonder how they got started since they were in the band together originally. And then I called Chris and I said, "Yo, I think I'll do a story about this on RCGroups. You know, you are the owner of an RC company." And I did go to the show and I have pictures. And he said, "Yeah, man." So I'm going to send him some questions and we'll have a little interview and then some photos from the show. And then I'll find some links to the band playing. But holy cow, they were awesome.
I want to hear this story.
Okay, I'm going to try to tell the story and remain. Okay, they rented a house on Friday, and about 5 o'clock, I jumped in the truck and drove to East Nashville, something I never, ever do. And Jason, you weren't that far away from East Nashville, but it's a PIA because you got to cross the river, right?
Yeah.
Then we went, and I was in the middle of I don't know where I'm at. And it was a house full of people, some people I knew, some people that knew me, some people I knew of. And the great part about that night is I got to sit on the couch. I talked to John Ducia. John and I are a lot alike, I found out. And so we had a great hang. And then Casey came over and hung out with us. And Chris and I hung out. And then I sat down and talked to Jace for a long time. Jace the Ace Ducia. Jason, I asked Jace, I said, "Man, if I hit you up for questions, Jace Ducia talks on Knife Edge Flight. And then you tell us your theories." He was like, "I'll do that." And so we can have a whole new series like that. The other thing I said is, he was talking about his SPM file for his planes and how people are like trying to get the secret sauce.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's something I want to do in my reviews. I want to make sure whenever there's an SPM file, it's in the review, and I want it from the guy who designed the plane. And he said, well, the thing is, though, I have an SPM file for 3 planes that are exactly the same airframes, and all the files are different because every plane flies differently. Like an airplane, even though they're the exact same planes, they all are slightly different. He said, I just don't think it would work. And then we started talking about making SPM files for their transmitters that were like like he had triple dual rates, and he had the elevator linked to the elevator, linked to the flaps, linked to the throttle, and then psych people out to think that his flying is all done through the transmitter.
Yeah, true.
I guess that's only funny. So, okay. So Russell, as you know, I've seen Russell, just to give you a background, we're entering into the Jim T. Graham story section of the podcast. Russell, once I was at a party and I was 30 feet from a fire. It was late at night and talking to somebody, probably loudly. And then a guy ran up who I don't know and started kicking me profusely about the leg. We told this last week. Russell caught me on fire at an event. This is the same Russell that caught me on fire that we talked about. Okay. So Russell's telling everyone at the party that part of his anatomy, instead of having 2 of those things, he has 3. Is everyone picking up where I'm at now?
I kind of feel what you're saying.
Okay, so let's just say that if you were a man and you're supposed to have 2 of something, he had 3. So he drops this early in the conversation. Then it comes back up. Somebody brings it up. No, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I was in a boat with the guy at the party, and we hit a wave, and when I landed on a beer can, and it sort of divided one of my 2 into a third.
Wow.
Now, I thought medically that was impossible. How could that happen?
Ouch.
This is probably inappropriate because at the party, I felt like it was really, anyway. So this goes on and on. He won't let it go. The other guy won't let it go. We're a couple of hours in. I am drinking lemon water, but they are not. I brought a bottle of Cripple. Okay, we're really getting thick into it, but I brought a party favor of a bottle of some nectar from Tennessee. And so finally the guy says, well, I'm a doctor. I got to see this. So everyone else is in the living room.
Way.
I'm standing not in the living room, but off of the living room near a hallway. And I look over and I see Russell, and I won't name the other guy. And he's kneeled down. And I said, oh my God, it's happening. Then his wife runs over and says, oh my God, Russell, I can't believe you. And then the guy says, I don't see 3. There's only 2. And Russell yelled, I can't believe I talked someone into doing that. And that's when I knew it was a party. Okay. Was that over at PG-13 for the podcast?
We didn't go into any descriptions.
Yeah. Well, that happened at that party.
That's hilarious.
So the next night when we're at this bar, I might have brought it up. Somebody brought it up, and Russell goes, well, I guess there'll be none of that tonight. I'd probably get arrested.
And on that note, it's been a great podcast, y'all.
Hey, everybody. You know what I didn't do? I didn't thank our podcast sponsor, Hobby King at hobbyking.com. Now, I'm not thanking them at this point in time for any other reason than I meant to say it about 2 stories ago. But go to Hobby King and check them out. Jason Cole, what's happening next week? You know, I almost called you to Tuesday to say we should go fly so we have some stuff to talk about, but then I realized you just went to the event. What do you do?
Yeah, tomorrow about 3:00, I'm going to do a 1 meter DLG contest at Tullahoma, and then Saturday and Sundays the possum toss.
Holy cow! I didn't realize all that stuff was straight on top of us.
Yeah, so DLG contest. It's nice and local. You know, it's only an hour drive. Nice and
in it.
Yeah, man.
How's the new house?
It's awesome. Getting the hobby room set up. I hung some planes in the garage the other day. We're making it work, man.
Who picked out that photo behind you? I'm sure we've talked about this before.
That was, I don't know. It's a good question.
Well, listen, you got to get rid of that and get some sort of airplane photo back.
That's what I was thinking, but it matches the colors, and my wife wants it to look pretty. I don't know.
Maybe I'll have to make you I'll have Christy make you a nice sign.
There you go.
Yeah.
That'll do.
Yeah, we'll get you something. What's the next event I'm going to see you at?
Who
knows?
All in the fall. He ain't going in all the fall. He's coming to Nashville, man.
I think I might actually. Might try to.
We'll see. I'll hold you.
This weekend in Grand Island, Nebraska, starting I think today or tomorrow morning, is the our local fly-in. They call it the Big Bird, and anything's welcome out there. But you'll see some really, really, really nice stuff out there. 120cc stuff, all the way down to little electric combat planes that we make for them, and there'll be 50 to 65 pilots somewhere around there. It's actually the largest event in Nebraska. Which is sad that there's only that many pilots, and that's the largest event. So that'll run through Saturday, but they'll be out there on Sunday also. So if you're anywhere near Grand Island, Nebraska, shoot down there and hang out with those guys. Christy will be there with all of our stuff. So, and sadly, I can't be there.
Well, now we know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I am scheduled to meet with Mike Hines, reviewer Mike Hines, and we're going to talk possibly about putting a deck on my house.
Nice.
What? Yeah.
Who's deck's bigger?
Yeah, right. Not mine. I'm going to go more for a stony outcropping fire pity area. And so we were talking about what we could do. And Mike, not only is a reviewer, he's a contractor. And he showed me a picture of this thing he did that for someone in outdoor. And I said, let's just have Mike walk over to the house and say, I could do this for this amount of money. And that way we're not making false imaginations here.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to thank all our live listeners. Daniel Haynes says that I must be partying with some different people. And it is true. That is
true.
An above average crowd right there. It was great hanging out with Chris and all those guys and meeting some new folks as well. I became Facebook friends with some of them. Lots of hugs at the end of the night. And so thanks to Jason for jumping on with us and everything that you do all damn day, Jason. I think, I was going to say, I meant to mention this. I have an interview with Joe Ambrose, the CEO and president of Horizon Hobby. And I actually asked him some moderately, Jason, I think, hard-hitting questions about Horizon's purchase of Hobbyco.
Yeah.
And I kind of expected some of them to be like, not this one. Let's change it with that. He didn't change anything. He answered everything, and they were nice long answers, which I hate short answers to my interview.
Right, yeah.
And so
that'll be cool.
It should become, I thought it might come out today. It should be coming out in the next few days. So keep your eye open for that. It will talk about everything about the Arma brands and how Hobbyco products will be available and it won't affect pricing and all the questions. What I did is I went through RCGroups, and as they were discussing, I cherry picked what seemed to be the same questions over and over again. And I asked him directly. Pretty awesome.
Nice.
And then I have some other.
There, Lane, it's stuck on you.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's me. It's my damn. And then I also have the IX12 review that should be dropping any second now. And then we have some other stuff that's about to go out. Be sure to join the contest, sign up for the podcast or for the mass email and be entered to win a shirt. Also, by the way, I thought about people that were already on the mass emails. You can also post in there and you might win a shirt too, because I didn't want to leave those guys out who already support us. And I didn't say this in that post either, but what I have is a box of new shirts. I have not worn them. That I could totally have a contest of shirts I've worn that I can give away, but I could. I thought about it. Yeah, worn by Jim T and washed.
Free pit stains.
Yeah, some of them have deodorant, but not these. These are new in the box, but they're all a little bit different. And so I was like, I'm not going to say what shirt you're going to get because it's going to be based on what size. If I pick you and you're an XXL, then I'll go in the box and find an XXL, and you might get a white one, you might get a black one. Depends on the size. So that's what's happening. All right. Once again, thanks to hobbyking.com, man, supporting us for so long. So great. So many thank yous. And also hit the subscribe button if you haven't, because if you do, all your RC dreams will come true. We haven't been promoting that fact enough. And Lane, thank you. Say hello to your pretty wife. And bingo, bingo. All right, y'all. Everybody simmer down now. There was a lot of, sorry. We keep ending the podcast, but I have one more thing to say. We were talking about the year, Jason, that the petitong was the big thing at Jonal, and we did the woo. Woo! And we decided that it's been long enough that it's retro and we're bringing it back next year. So Petit Tong and Woo are coming back at Chonal next year. We'll talk more about that in the coming 8 months. All right. I'm out of here. RCGroups.com, the world's largest and most insanely active RC web network. Bye.
Later.
See ya.